Thanks for joining us here on NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we're going to break down the top free agents remaining at this point in time. We'll go over all of the names you need to know and talk about where they could potentially land coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, little challenge out there for the NFL fans watching. The boss told me that he doesn't think we can get 50 subscribers off of today's video, and I said, boss man, you're crazy. We can do better than that. We can do even more than 50 subscribers off today's video. So let's prove the boss is wrong. Subscribe now to the channel for free today as we cover the National Football League each and every day with daily news and rumor segments. We do live shows on the channel, and also throughout the season, we'll be bringing you our live red zone coverage of every game as it's happening in real time. So if you're a diehard NFL fan, this is the channel for you. Subscribe now for free today. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment, and you'll be glad you did. NFL.com put a list together of the best free agents that are still remaining at this point in time, and also provided some analysis of each player. We'll show you what they had to say, tell you more about these players and where they possibly could end up. Let's get started with DeAndre Hopkins. The five-time Pro Bowler remains unsigned at this point in time. He had visits with the New England Patriots and the Tennessee Titans over the last week. And it's an interesting predicament for DeAndre Hopkins because he wants to get paid but still be a part of a contending team. And there's not a whole lot of teams that are in a position to be able to offer both things to DeAndre Hopkins. I personally think he's going to end up in New England when it's all said and done, but obviously we'll wait and see. He didn't go he left without a contract there in New England last week. More from Greg Rosenthal of NFL Media. If Hopkins was released back in March, he would have been the top free agent wide receiver available. It's a premium and sacred position, so he's still scarce position. He's still worth plenty, even if not now fits better as a supercharged second option down the field rather than viewing him as a top 5 receiver in the league. So he's still got something left to offer. I think New England would be a good fit, especially with a young quarterback and Mac Jones there, but we'll wait and see what happens if they do bring him in or not, or if he can end up elsewhere. Next on the list is Yannick Ngakoue, who's been with several teams the last several seasons. And even with him changing uniforms several times, we've still seen him be consistent with 4 straight seasons of 8 sacks or more. No matter the system, the jersey he's worn, whatever, he's been a relatively consistent player. And he's likely to wear another uniform again. This would be his 6th team in 5 years for the 2017 Pro Bowler, who that season led the league in forced fumbles. What could he potentially offer to somebody? There's more from Greg Rosenthal. Sacks and QB hits sell, but Ngakoue's inability to stop the run is probably why he's likely headed to his 6th team in 4 years. Not ideal that he's not great when it comes to stopping the run, but if you need a pass rusher, Yannick Ngakoue is your guy. I'm surprised that he's still around at this point in time, but somebody's going to get him for a bargain considering how much talent he actually brings to the table, but the run defense issue is still a concern of sorts there. Next on the list is Dalvin Cook. And Dalvin Cook, we've known for quite some time that he wasn't going to be coming back to the Minnesota Vikings. But it was trying to figure out how the departure was going to occur. They tried to shop him on the trade market. Nobody was biting. Ultimately, they released him without owing him guaranteed money. And now trying to find a home, obviously he's not going to get on the free agent market the money that he was making previously in Minnesota, but there's still a chance for him to get a decent payday and be on a competing team. Miami seems to be the natural fit, but they've had chances to sign him, and they haven't done so already. He's coming off 4 straight seasons with over 1,000 yards rushing, so obviously he's still got something left that he can bring to the table. More on Cook. Cook played through a shoulder injury in 2022, but he was still productive and can make explosive plays. Unlike most big-name running backs who get cut, Cook should still have a few seasons left as a high-level starter. And we've seen people talk about the possibility of him and DeAndre Hopkins potentially teaming up somewhere. That seems unlikely just because the numbers at this point in time don't really work out for teams to be able to afford both players. So if you were a team that was in position to choose one or the other, who would you rather have? Would you rather have Dalvin Cook? Would you rather have DeAndre Hopkins? Pick one player to sign for me. Type C for Cook, type H for Hopkins. Let me know which guy you'd rather have, C for Cook or H for Hopkins. Jadeveon Clowney, the former number 1 overall pick back in 2014, could be looking for his 5th different team since 2018. Clowney's been a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's had a good career to this point, but what finished in Cleveland was not ideal. He didn't look like the player that he was a couple years ago. So with that, his market value is not that high. He's not in as much demand as he once was at one point in time. Could he rejuvenate his career somewhere this offseason and find a new home of some sorts? Here's more from Greg Rosenthal of NFL Media. Another year, another top 101 free agents blurb for Clowney. He gets a little lower on the list each season. The ugly ending to his time in Cleveland doesn't bode well for his value, and that's absolutely right. It did not go well. Obviously, there was a lot of problems with that Cleveland organization as is, but Clowney did not help his cause there, and I think you're looking at him as a rotational piece at this point in time for somebody. But if you get what you saw a couple years ago when he had 9 sacks, you'll be more than pleased as far as that goes. But we'll see what type of player Jadeveon Clowney still is. Next up is Dalton Risner, who most recently played for the Denver Broncos. Not an all-pro or Pro Bowl caliber player, but a good player at that. What we saw in his time in Denver for the former second-round pick out of K-State, he had 62 starts in 62 career games in a 4-year stretch there with Denver. He was consistently available for this Denver team. And some people, when you're looking around, the number one thing you can bring to the table is just being available and being healthy. He's not going to be a star guard by any stretch of the imagination, but he can get the job done. And as we go through the next few weeks and get into training camp, Risner might be in a position where he could fill in for somebody that loses a guard potentially. He's taking his time waiting things out, as it doesn't seem like there's an obvious choice for where his next destination could be. You have teams like Baltimore, for example, who might need guard help, but they kind of want to see what they have in guys like Ben Cleveland and others before they potentially sign somebody here. More from Rosenthal on Dalton Risner here. Yes, he was that dude who pushed Broncos backup quarterback Brett Rippon on the sidelines on Christmas Day. Rippon probably had it coming to him, but that's another story. He's also started 62 games at an above-average level since entering the league. So there's the story there with Dalton Risner. NFL rookie jerseys are on sale now, and we have them all for you, folks. Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, you got C.J. Stroud, some of these others, whatever you're feeling. I mean, I personally am partial to the Devin Witherspoon jersey. I think he's going to be fantastic there in Seattle. I know that a lot of our Texas audience is so excited about Bijan Robinson, what he's going to bring to the Atlanta Falcons. We have all these rookie jerseys, and they are on sale now at chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Here's the deal, folks. It is the middle of June now, and football season will be here before you know it. You need to get one of these jerseys. That way you can maximize the time you can wear these jerseys. These rookie players, they're going to be veterans before you know it. Get the jersey now, and you can wear these for their entire career that they're playing for your favorite team. And you can say you were there since the very beginning with these guys. So whoever you're rooting for, whatever rookie you like, we got them all in all different shapes and sizes just for you. Get yours today, chatsports.com/NFL jersey, and you'll be glad you did. That's chatsports.com/NFL jersey. Some more names to get to. Let's talk about Marcus Peters now. Marcus Peters, a 3-time Pro Bowler, former Defensive Rookie of the Year when he was with the Kansas City Chiefs. We've seen him with the Los Angeles Rams, most recently with the Baltimore Ravens, and a couple of years ago had the ACL injury, forced him to miss an entire season, came back last year, played in about 12 games, and took him a while to get going, but he finished with an interception and 2 forced fumbles. With Marcus Peters, he gives up some big plays, but he does create turnovers. He's done that effectively his entire career. Not the corner that he was several years ago, but still has something left to potentially offer for somebody out there. More on Marcus Peters here. One of those corners who just knows how to play. Peters was effective in his first season back from ACL surgery. He looks like a starter. And with what the Patriots went through with Jack Jones going through his arrest, New England might be the fit potentially for Marcus Peters for his next home as far as that goes. Some more names to get to in a moment, but first, who is the best NFL free agent remaining at this point in time? We've gone through several names. We got a few more names to go. Chime in the comments section. Give me your take, who you believe is the best free agent remaining at this point in time. Next up is Melvin Ingram. Ingram's been a journeyman of sorts over the last several seasons, and he's had a pretty decent career. Feels like we talk about Melvin Ingram and a different team almost every offseason to this point in time. The 3-time Pro Bowler could be playing for his 5th different team since 2020. More on Melvin Ingram. Every year I rank Ingram high in this list. There is no NFL team, no NFL team seems to want him. And then he balls out for a while. Even if he goes off script sometimes, the chaos is worth it. Look for a team like Seattle who needs a rotational piece to bring in a guy like Melvin Ingram, get him on the cheap. There's good value there for Melvin Ingram, even with him being older now. Watch out. Let's see what he can do. Teddy Bridgewater is a guy that, I'll be honest, we have not talked a whole lot about this offseason. I think Teddy Bridgewater is actually a decent quarterback, but the biggest issue with him, even as a backup his entire career, has been health. He hasn't been able to stay healthy himself, but when he's played, he's been fine. When we last saw him as a full-time starter in Denver before he got hurt, he was competing to be a Pro Bowl quarterback back then. Last year, he played in 5 games, started in 2 in place of Tua there in Miami, and he showed flashes at times, but where could he go? If you're needing a backup quarterback, if you don't have an obvious option, taking point Kansas City, for example, could you go with Teddy Bridgewater potentially, a veteran who's played on the playoff stage before? More from Rosenthal. Teddy Two Gloves had career highs in yards per attempt, 8.6, and touchdown percentage, 5.1 on just 79 pass attempts for Miami, with both of his starts cut short by injury. There are more teams looking for quarterbacks than there are surefire starters in the market. And there's questions in Baltimore about Todd Monken not being quite sold on Tyler Huntley. Teddy Bridgewater might be a better option for Baltimore potentially. Where will Teddy Bridgewater sign in NFL free agency? Still hanging around. I'm sure he'll sign somewhere. He's not going to be unemployed. Where will he sign in free agency? Tell me in the comments section. Name one team where you think Teddy Bridgewater ultimately ends up. All right, let's go to Bryce Callahan now. Great story from Bryce Callahan. Started his career as an undrafted rookie, and now he's coming off a season where he had 3 interceptions, a career-high 47 tackles and 6 passes defended, playing in 15 games this past year. And Rosenthal said this about Callahan. Injuries threatened Callahan's career before a resurgent 2022 season with the Chargers playing the slot. So if you're looking for a slot corner, Callahan could be your guy potentially as far as that goes. Justin Houston is the last name on our list. And Justin Houston, even at 34 years old, is still coming off a really good year with the Baltimore Ravens. Led the team in sacks with 9.5. Had 7 tackles for loss as well. We all remember what he did when he was a young cat in Kansas City when he had 20-plus sacks. Sure, you're not going to get 20-plus sacks, but Justin Houston is beating Father Time at this point with what he's done in his career. Rosenthal said this about Justin Houston. It's just silly how Houston never gets old. He is like the edge version of Calais Campbell, and it isn't that far from having a case to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame someday. Justin Houston, I would love to see in the Pro Football Hall of Fame at some point in time. I expect him to go back to the Baltimore Ravens. They need some help when it comes to edge rushers, but we'll see if somebody can get to him first and offer a better deal. Who was the best free agent signing of this offseason? It was a very eventful offseason already. Obviously, we're not quite done yet, but who was the best one? Tell me in the comments section who comes to mind. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook at Tyler Jones Live. That's where you can find me there. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time right here on NFL Daily.